Now, truly, was this a royal emergency? Well, it almost became one. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you today. Thank you so much for joining me. Yes, we are, as ever, in the midst of London's underground, as we normally are at least once or twice a week. I don't know about you when I'm travelling around, I like to vary it for obvious reasons, if you know what I'm saying. But sometimes I prefer the bus because you get to see a little bit more, don't you? You know, if you go up on the upstairs thing, do you still do the thing where you're sitting at the front of the bus, pretending you're driving? You look the sort. Nothing wrong with it. No, I still do it, yes. It's a bit embarrassing, of course, when the bus is full and you're doing the noises, isn't it? But that's we've got to have fun. You've got to be a bit cheeky in life, haven't you? Why not, But let me know, are you a bus, or if you are living in a major city, do you go on the subway or the tube? Or, I'd always think I'd love to go back to a tricycle. Yes, with one with a box on, a bit like Miss Marple used to have. Save your money, green, do all your shopping. Nothing wrong with that, is there? Absolutely. Let's get back to your royal story of the day. Now, this story I just find fascinating in itself because when you think about it, we often associate royals with all major sort of things, don't we? The visits of royals to their favourite television programmes. I suppose most recently in most people's mind would be Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who knew was just a massive Downton Abbey fan. You could see she was really excited being on the sets and meeting all the stars and stuff like that. She forgot that she was at that point the Duchess of Cambridge, and suddenly she's just listening at Mrs. Patmore or whatever, and you're thinking, oh bless, we've all been there. I was like that when I went to all of those shows in America, the big ones, Desperate Housewives, you're looking inside all the sets, thinking, wow, don't know why you become excited. And then, of course, famously, our late and brilliant monarch, Queen Elizabeth, went to the set of The Good Life in the 70s, and Felicity Kendall told me that was the most nerve-wracking performance she had to do because there she was, literally in the front row, Yeah, she played Barbara Good, of course, beautiful Felicity, alongside all of those wonderful people, Richard Bryars, Paul Eddington, Penelope Keith. But fascinatingly, way back in the late 1950s, it could have been another royal starring on the small screen. And this was all to do with, export and patriotism and all that sort of stuff. Let me explain. You see, this show, Emergency Ward 10, hard to imagine now just how big this show was. It ran for 10 years on the ATV network, and this was run by a mogul called Lou Grade. Now, I've met his family, Michael Grade, on many of occasions. Wonderful theatrical family who did so much for bringing mass entertainment to so many spheres of the United Kingdom and the world, representing the biggest stars literally on the planet. But they also moved into television to great success. It was Lou who gave us things like The Saint with Sir Roger Moore, amongst many other things. Danger Man, remember that? But what was interesting was they had this idea because they'd found out that Princess Margaret was in fact a huge fan of Emergency Ward 10. Rightly so. And the idea was that Margaret would make a personal appearance at the hospital to open a new wing. A marvellous idea when you think in the late 1950s, but then something took a turn for the worse. Let me explain. You see, Princess Margaret loved the show. Absolutely loved it. Tuned in every single week alongside her elder sister, the Queen, and they sort of dissected the storylines. This got back to the head of ATV, Lou Grade, and he came up with the idea basically because he was trying to sell the show around the world. It was predominantly a very British thing at that time. We think of hospital shows now like Casualty, Grey's Anatomy, General Hospital, but back then this was groundbreaking. At the time, the show was actually filmed as live, but on this particular occasion they had the idea that they could pre-tape this particular segment, and the segment was that Princess Margaret would open an area, a wing or something like that of that fictional hospital, meeting and greeting all the stars, and this would be a great boost for ratings, but more importantly would be able to sell the show around the world, and she was very keen. And so was the Queen, apparently. She thought, yeah, good idea, great for sort of sales around the world, why not? But apparently at the 11th hour, even though Princess Margaret had agreed to this idea, and apparently was more than excited by the idea of appearing on a live television show with her favourite set, with her favourite stars, and the thing that she'd always watched, well, the government decided to step in and basically said this could be rather misleading, because then you would get a lot of hospitals up and down the United Kingdom also requesting the same thing, and this would make her workload impossible. You see, people truly believed that the show was genuinely real, that the doctors and nurses existed in Emergency Ward 10. So it was with much reluctance that Princess Margaret had to step away. But she did, of course, pay a visit to the set and meet all of the stars as a bit of compensation on both sides. So you see, sometimes a royal emergency doesn't always come out in the way that you think. What a shame though that we don't have this on film, really, in this present day, don't you think? And just think also, how different would that have been in today's society? Neil Sean in the heart of London on a London Tube.